Hi, this is Sarah from SheHoldsDearly.com, and today I want to share with you a custom dog bed I made. It's a farmhouse style dog bed tutorial. So while I love having a dog, and actually all of my animals for that matter, I do sometimes struggle with their gear and their paraphernalia that comes along with them, and I try to find cute items that match my decorating. So the dog bed is actually one of the worst ones because it's so large and it's practically a piece of furniture, and I have a large dog too. So I could get a day bed, and that probably would be heaven for her, but I'm not going to put a day bed in my living room just for the dog. I looked around and I did eventually find one that I liked. It's from Hay Needle and it's wicker. The only thing is that it came with a really thin pad, too thin, and she just never was comfortable in it. We kept putting blankets in it, and then it was looking sloppy, and so I really wanted to come up with something cute, like that was just kind of neutral but kind of had a little character to it that would fit with our living room and our fireside room that we keep that bed in. So I started off by getting some upholstery foam, and upholstery foam is expensive. I did use some coupons and combined it with a sale and everything and got a nice big piece at Joanns, and I've also found it on eBay. That's the other good place to look for upholstery foam, but it still is expensive. And I bought this chunk home and I put it in her bed, and then I left. We went to church. And by the time I got back, it looked like the place had exploded. I had these all over the room. It made for a really funny Instagram story, but after that I was like, yeah, that was a lot of money now gone. So I made lemonade with my lemons, and we ended up just continuing. We kept all the pieces of the foam and then tore up the little bit that was left into chunks. And actually, I think that's a better way to go with dogs, because I do think that they like a little bit of lumpiness to their bed, so they can kind of fuss with it and make it what they want it to be. So if you do buy upholstery foam, I would tear it up. Okay, so then I just made just a simple rectangular pillow. I measured the dimensions of the bed, and then added 10 inches just to give it some lift. 10 inches on the length and the width, so that's 5 inches on each side. I just used a linen tablecloth that I had thrifted at a thrift store and cut it up and made it into this. So I've got chunks of upholstery foam in here. Okay, so this is the insert. Then I got to work on the actual cover. So you're gonna want to use more of a heavy-duty fabric. So I used it's a duck cloth, and that's the top and the sides. I ran out for the bottom, and so I just took that cushion that came with the bed, I took it apart, and I used that piece of fabric on the bottom, which actually I think it looks good. But if you have even drop cloth fabric would be great, anything that's kind of heavy duty for a dog. And you're gonna wanna cut out 2 rectangular pieces that would fit inside your bed. Put an inch on there for a seam allowance, and then you need to cut out this strip that's going to go all the way around, and I just call it the band in the description. And I didn't actually have enough. I had to piece a couple strips together, so you would have to sew those together to make one long strip that is the diameter of one of these rectangular pieces. So you're going to want to cut this back strip right down the middle. I just folded it lengthwise, and I just slid my scissors down and cut it apart. Then I folded the right side back. I folded about an inch of the right side over onto the wrong side, and I ironed it flat. Okay, and that's where my zipper is gonna go. So then I laid the zipper down, I unzipped the zipper first, and then I laid down one strip, and you have to kind of go slow and think about like, how is this gonna all look finished, and is it actually gonna zip on the right side, and so kind of test it out as you go. But pin down your zipper onto one of those folded edges, and you're going to stitch it into place. Then zip it up and lay it back on the other strip that's folded over and pin that in place and stitch it in place. And then you'll end up having a little bit of space here that doesn't have a zipper but was cut, and you'll need to stitch that closed on either end and then sew it together on this band strip. Okay, and then we come to the really fun part. This is where you get to customize it. And I put this cute little quote on it. On that farm, they had a dog. I love that. I think it's so cute. And I just used an iron-on transfer paper. You can get it at any fabric store or craft store. I actually got this one at Target. And it just comes, I think it was like $6, $6 or $7. It comes with these sheets of paper and really good, simple, pretty simple directions. The key step that you do not want to miss is that whatever you design, and then what you need to do is when you go to print, you need to reverse the image. You need to get a mirror image. And so you might have to Google that as well. But you print it on this paper. It needs to dry for 30 minutes. And then you're ready to iron it on. So I had to figure out where I wanted the words exactly, and I decided I wanted the O to be the very center of the bed. So that was my guide. Actually, from here on out, you got to know kind of where your centers are. So I figured out where that was going to be on the band. And you want to find a place where you can iron on a really hard surface, and you don't want to do this on a stained surface or a painted surface because you're going to melt the paint, because I've done it before and did it wrong. So I now use my granite countertop, and I laid, you could use a dish towel, a pillowcase, an apron, whatever, a piece of fabric down on top of that hard surface, and that's where you're going to iron on this iron-on transfer. Now set your iron to as hot as you can get it, but with no steam. It needs to be really hot because you need to melt the glue on this paper. Once you're ready to go, then you take your design and you're going to cut around the edge and go slow and just be really controlled. And you want 1/8 of an inch around the edge of your whole design. Then lay it down in place, and you're going to have to press really hard with the iron and keep it moving a little bit, but you're going to want to work with that for about 2.5 minutes. So I did the word dog for 2.5 minutes, and then I did the other words for 2.5 minutes. And I actually stood on a chair so I could get my body weight into it and really lean over the iron, and that really helped too. And then you just really carefully peel back that paper, and you've got a really cute custom design. Now what I forgot to mention was actually this piping. I love piping. I think it gives such a finished, structured, like, professional look. So I tend to use piping when I do upholstery and things. And I actually made this, and I will link below the tutorial that I followed. I didn't get into it in the video or the blog post exactly because it was getting kind of long. But you can make your own piping, or you can buy it. I made this with some linen I had, and now I'm just gonna tell you kind of how I assembled it. So you're gonna need to find the center of your band, which if you're doing exactly what I did, you just use the O in dog, and that will work out perfectly. You're gonna cut your piping in half and use 1/2, save it for the bottom of the pillow, and then we're just gonna deal with the top. So you wanna put your raw edges together with the piping and the very top of this band, and pin it all the way around in place and have it finish in the back. And your ends, you're just gonna kind of bend and tuck down into the pillow so that when you stitch, it'll catch them and just finish them. And for this whole project, I used a zipper foot. I just was using it for the zipper, and then it works really well with the piping, and I just ended up using the zipper foot for everything. You must have a zipper foot to make this dog bed. Okay, once you get the piping put along the top of the band, you're gonna do the exact same thing on the bottom. So once you have the piping on the top and the bottom of your band, you're going to put the top and the bottom piece on. So starting with your top rectangle, pin it, you're gonna go right sides together, and that's kind of tricky. Go slow, make sure you're doing that right, or you will hate having to take those stitches out. So right sides together, you're going to add your top rectangle around the top part of that band with the piping. Okay, you're almost done. Now you're gonna unzip the zipper so you can actually get your arm inside of that pillow, because you're gonna have to turn it inside out here in a minute. But now you're going to add on your bottom section. Same thing, right sides together and stitch in place, then turn it inside out. Then you're just gonna add your pillow insert and zip it up and hand it to your pup. All right, thank you so much for stopping by. If you're new here, please consider hitting that subscribe button. I do post regularly and I share my professional design advice and our vintage home life. All right, take care and I will talk to you soon.